Evening.
Good evening. How
How's
are
it
you,
going,
Steve?
guys? How's it going? How's it going? Yeah, it's going good, mate. It's going good. Back from my holiday exploits, and yeah, back to reality now, mate. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
but
it
yeah,
feels like ages since I
I
spoke to
know.
you properly, and
You
a long
know,
time
it
since you've
does.
been on a. I mean, I was looking when I was looking for the link that came through. I mean, the
Yeah.
last time you hosted was the end of June, like 29th of June, because that's the last email I got for you, which was a couple of
Wow.
days before. So I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
you kind of obviously was away, weren't you? And then you weren't around last week when we had Ross on, but it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
long time.
It has. It has felt like an eternity. To be fair, you know what I mean. I did catch up with you last week.
I don't know if I've lost Steve or. So I don't know if it's just me or whether Steve is on and I'm not on. So I'm not too sure what's happening. So is it? Can you let me know? Is it just me hosting now, and has Steve gone? Right. So Steve has gone. So okay. So just have to improvise here, really. So hopefully Steve will join us in due course. Otherwise, you just got my ugly mug for the rest of the evening, or as long as it goes on. So I think what I'm going to do, whilst we're waiting for, oh yeah, he's gone. So it is me. I'm just going to go through. So I don't think I can put up. No, I can't put up any comments. So I'm just going to go through the comments. So who have we got in the house? So AB Reef, he's on the screen. So Tekker's Reefer, good evening. Cotty's Reef, good evening. Steve Connolly, good evening. Sam Veneer, Peter Elliott, NG Reefer. It says Multi says good evening, but yeah, he's not here. Hi Howard. John, good evening to you. UK Reefer. Fish no chips. Hi Darren. We'll talk about the cakes later on. UKM 120. Kieran Young. We've got 33 people watching at the moment. So Reef of Madness. Hiya Chris Allen. Steve Pennell, all the way from Spain. So where you staying at the moment then, Steve? Stuart, sorry. Let us know. Reef Port. Peter Elliott. I don't think I've missed a Southeast Reefer. Mickey Boy. Mike, how are you? I saw some good pictures of the it was of some tanks you were setting up. Look really, really good, Mickey Boy. So looks good. Backshift Reefer, good evening to you. UK Reef Bro. And that's it in terms of the comments. So where do I start? Because I'm on my own. I'll tell you where I'm going to start. So, reefing event. You're probably sick and tired of it, but I was really proud. So I don't know if any of you guys actually read this magazine. So I've been subscribed to it for 5 years. I find it's a really good read. At some point, I'll go over to digital, but I haven't gone over yet. And then I contacted them and said, can we have something as a giveaway for the event? So we've got an annual subscription to the magazine. And then I wrote this, and lo and behold, they've made a few tweaks to it, but they've published it. So I don't think I've ever had anything published, because usually I'm not really interested in kind of writing things, getting stuff out there. But I was really chuffed to see that in the magazine. So that's that. So I'm really pleased on that side. Well, so how's the tickets going? So we're nearly sold out. Fingers crossed, we will be sold out probably about 4 or 5 days. So there's about four tickets left. So if anyone hasn't got a ticket yet, I know there's quite a few people in the chat I can see that have got tickets already. So thank you for those that have bought tickets. But yeah, as I say, 3 or 4 tickets left. I must admit, I can't wait until we sold it out, because then I can do other stuff. So at the moment, I'm designing. I'm designing the e-ticket. So we're not going to have. I'm going to try and have no paper there. Try and reduce kind of use of plastic or anything of that nature. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So as I say, if anyone's interested in some tickets still, then let me know. And Steve, you're back.
You know what? You know what? I know I keep going on about this bloody computer. Yeah, I absolutely hate it. You know, because it's been off for 3 weeks. I've not had it on yet. Usually my laptop's on and it's on, you know, like standby mode. So I just lift it up and I go on it and stuff. Yeah. And because it just automatically switched off. I said it needs updating. It just switched off and updated itself on its own. So hopefully we're back. There's no updates that need to be doing now. It's all back.
Yeah,
Up and running. So fingers crossed, I'm going to still be here with you all guys.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what was you talking about just then, Paul?
Well, I was just talking about magazine.
Oh,
got an article published.
yeah.
I was chuffed about that. I've
Massive
got about
congrats,
four tickets left. Yeah, so I've got about 4 tickets left. Can't wait till they're sold out. Talking about other stuff I'm doing, and that's about it really. So yeah, I'm really, and that sounds really small when you read things in magazines and you think, oh, that's rubbish, or you take it for granted, blah blah blah. But to actually, I approached them and said, oh, we've got this event and everything else. One, can we have just saying to the viewers, you know, we've got a year's subscription to this magazine, so I'm plugging that because you know they're giving it to us. And I said, we've got the event. Can I, you know, he said, do you want to put an article in? I said, how many words? And he goes, 200 words. And I'm thinking, that sounds a lot, 200 words. I don't know if I could do the 200 words. So I did it, and it was about 200. He's tweaked the grammar a little bit because it's not my my strong point, I must admit, on that side. And there we go. And when I saw it, I thought, a big old logo. A couple of people posted pictures to me, so because I hadn't got it through the post, and they had. So I was chuffed a bit. So I must admit on that side.
Yeah.
And I know I've sold some tickets. So a couple of people said, have you got some tickets to the Reef event? I've never really heard of them. There's a lot of people that have contacted me, people I know from here, know from Instagram. And when I said, where did you hear about it? He said, oh, we subscribed to Ultramarine and we just saw it and then sent you an email. So it's done the trick in terms of a couple of people have bought tickets that way. But yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. So I've got tons of work to do for the actual. So it's 3 weeks tomorrow. Once the tickets are gone, hopefully, as I say, I was saying earlier about in the next 4 or 5 days, they'll be gone. And then I can focus on, right, what we're going to do for the day. I've got some ideas of what we're going to do on the day. And I've started buying some just a small bits and pieces, like, you know, wristbands and all that kind of thing. So just kind of bits and pieces. And then we'll go from there. And I'm going to go and see the venue the week before with one of the vendors, so we can just map out where Ches is going to set up and stuff like that, and then go from there. Really, I've already said good evening to most of the people because I was trying to ad lib while you wasn't around.
Well, that's what we usually do, innit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even
just one thing. There's one as you go down from Darren. I didn't spot it. He's got there. His grammar won't come out even to eat. Tang now has spots. And Coral Beauty 2, Clan has a black dot.
Where's that? Oh, there. Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's white spot or not. I don't know if you know what it looks like, Darren. I'd have a look. All I can say is white spot. And I think someone else has put it in there. I've used Polyp Lab Medic. Now, if you go online and you put around how do you get rid of it, you'll get either those who say that you shouldn't treat it, you should take them all out and put them into quarantine, which if you want to cure if it is white spot, I don't know if it is, Darren. If you want to cure it, then from what I've read over the years, you have to take all your fish out, quarantine them and leave it fallow. Although leaving it fallow seems to be a bit of debate, whether it's 72 days I've seen or 74 or longer. I had it in the tank that was there before, obviously not this one's empty. And I used Polyp Lab and I used a maximum dose. I had the spots on one day and the next day I started dosing. So I did it straight away. And also I went from feeding once a day to 3 times a day. Nitrates went up. So you have to kind of balance that out. But it got rid of the spots. And it was on a Regal tang and a Vampire tang. And that was about, you think I closed that tank down. It was probably about 6.5 years old. It must have happened after about a year. Yeah. And everything recovered and the spots never come back again. So I haven't eradicated it, but what I did was help them to fight it off.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is that, because you get spots and it might not necessarily be white spots. So what I would do is I'd have a look at what you see on the fish and then Google white
Yeah,
spot, or we can see if it is that. It's quite
yeah.
distinctive.
I'd,
As
I'd
for
probably,
black,
I'd,
so go on.
I-
Go on.
I'd probably say it's probably more than a nick, especially if it's on tangs and stuff. To be fair, I
Yeah,
mean white spot is well not is obviously common and stuff, but I'd say ick. I remember when one of my caught ick when I had it in a 170, and I was reading loads of things like what you should do and stuff. And, you know how I cured it? I got it, and I've done a fresh water dip. You know, fresh water dip.
yeah,
And I literally same temperature as the tank, but just like literally put it in. It was in for like a minute, 2 minutes or so, yeah. And I just kept and then you put it back in the tank, and you'd see them all of a sudden a couple of days later they go, and I'd be like, what the hell? This is a miracle cure. This just a fresh water dip. I don't know whether
yeah,
the parasite on it just needs to live in salt water. Remember, a saltwater fish can live in fresh water without any salt for a short time. Obviously, you know what I mean. But I
yeah,
don't think these certain parasites can. I think they just like come off or they die straight away. I don't know how it works, but and I never even seen it then on the same fish. After that one dip,
yeah,
it never happened again. You know what I mean? So there's loads of different things that you could do, but like you know, like you said, reef using chemicals and stuff like that. But if you don't have to, I would never use chemicals to be fair. But you just have to, like I said, make sure you know exactly what it is. You know what I
yeah.
mean before
So,
you.
yeah. So the polyp lab's been out for years.
Yeah,
Now, so the interesting, I don't know if it was the polyp lab or was it because I increased the feeding to 3 times a day? Because by increasing the feeding, they then eat more. By eating
yeah,
more, they then stay healthy and they start putting on more weight and things like that, and it helps them to fight it off. So I think it was the combination of two. I can't prove it. I mean, it could have been if I hadn't treated it, would they have survived? I don't know. If I just fed more, would they have survived? So the answer is I don't know. All I know is that within 21 days, the spots
yeah,
went and
yeah.
they never come back, even though I knew it was in the water
In the
column.
tank.
And despite
Yeah, yeah,
um, taking those, I mean, I was both the Regal and the Vampire ended up getting rid of 18 months later because it was too big for the tank. But it worked for me. And also, as you remember from that tank, it was a sea of rock. To get all those fish out, including small ones, I would have to have taken the rock away. And also, I probably would have stressed the fish out. And also, they would have gone from a 5 foot tank where there's loads of hiding places. What about if I put it into a QT of 2 foot or three
yeah.
foot? Well, then got stressed out. So I think some
Mm,
people take fish out, it stresses them out. They put them in
yeah,
a quarantine. I've never done quarantine before. So I'd probably end up killing them that way as well. So I just made a decision to leave them where they are. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision by taking them out. You have to make a decision what you're going to do,
yeah,
and then you'll take them out. I mean, someone said about UV in there. UV
mm,
does work. But I don't think it works for every form of it. I'm
yeah,
not too sure. I've heard it can help with it,
yeah,
but I don't know in terms of what setting you have to have it at. Does it cure it for all of them or not? So I do your research, but certainly UV, if you run it at the same right level, Steve. I mean, you've run UV before, I haven't, so I'm just
yeah.
going from what I've read. I mean, what's your view on UV?
Yeah, no, to be truthful, mate, I give it a 10 out of 10, mate. I mean, I don't know whether I've just been very fortunate with the fish I've had.
Yeah,
Obviously, I've had the yellow tang and I've had the fox face, and I had that brown tang, and none of them ever caught white spot. They never got ick.
yeah,
They never got anything. You know what I mean? But I've ran a UV in this tank since day one. I've always run a UV in it. You know what I mean? And I run it on a foul on an Eheim 1000
yeah,
1000 pump, so only a tiny pump. And the thing is to make sure it's dialed in to the right flow, you know, so it goes through the actual UV. Yeah, because if you run it too quick, it's not doing anything. Run it too slow, it'll kill more bacteria. The beneficial bacteria. You know what I mean as well. So
yeah,
it needs to be dialed in, and I think mine's probably halfway on the knob. You know, like where you turn it. I think it's halfway. So probably running at 500 um, liters per hour or whatever it is. So it's only running very very slow coming through it. You know what I mean? But I like I said, I've never had an issue with any of those sort of bugs, and it's definitely got something to do with the UV. I think anyway. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Because we've all got ick, and stuff in our tanks. Every tank has hick in it. It's. I mean, some of them. Sometimes I see on my clownfish, couple of spots on the back tail, and maybe one on the side, and I'm like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wonder what's that? It's got to be ick or something flaring up on it. You know what I mean? And you'll see like they'll start to go a little bit pale, and then all of a sudden you'll like feed them more, or you'll dip it in like garlic. You know, like put some of the garlic. I use that aquaforest garlic, and I'll put some of that, and I'll soak the food in it, and I'll feed it to them and all that. And then literally a couple of days later, the spots are gone. You know what I mean? So it's like I think it's a thing when they get stressed, or if they maybe not work, maybe being bullied or something like that. Because I remember my yellow tang when that was being bullied from him, and that used to get like little white spots all over itself. And then all of a sudden, when they stopped bullying it and it was feeding more, and it could come out and it was feeding, the spots went away. You know what I mean? And everything was fine with them. But yeah, if you've got a big enough space underneath your tank, I would say definitely use a UV. There's plenty of pros for it. You know what I mean? So,
there's not many downsides
no.
to it. I must admit, if I set up another big tank, because I've never used UV in all the years I've had it,
wow,
I probably would, if I was to go for a big tank like a 6 footer. So I'd probably get a couple of tanks, smaller ones. I wouldn't go for a bigger. Then I probably would go for a UV from day one. But because from that day I never had a problem, it was okay. And I think it is caused by stress, because I think the slime coat they have, if they're stressed out, not getting the food, that kind of thing, their coat, the slime coat is supposed to either go thin or it goes bare. I don't know. I'm sure there's some science behind it. And of course, then because their slime coat is not as healthy as it should be,
yeah, that's right,
they can then get attacked by it.
Yeah.
But I mean, my clowns, I mean, I don't know, they've always got markings on them. I don't know if they get stung by torches, or they go, they as they're chasing one another around, they'll go hit themselves in rocks. But I never worry about if the clowns have got any marks on them, because they seem to be ones that are just all over the shop, whereas other fish seem to be a bit more intelligent, should we say, about how they run around the tank. Clowns just seem to bump into everything. One of them lays on the chalice, and I can't believe the chalice polyps are not trying to sting it to get it off. But they just seem to get on with it. So I think you said, Darren, you got a black spot on the clown. I've got no idea what that could be, by the way. But what I find with clowns, they just
I have
marks all over them.
Yeah, I've got black spots on my clowns. There's loads of, I think on one of them, there must be about 12 or 13 spots on the female. I'm looking at her right now, actually, to be fair, and she's got loads of spots. And I think it's when they get stung. I think it's when they get stung, maybe like you said, from torches, or they don't really get stung from an anemone, because that's the home. You know what I mean? And they're always in the anemone. So, but I definitely think it's when they get stung by something else. I was actually thinking, have they got stung by that big, huge, what's it called, Hollywood stunner? Because the sweet tentacles from that, mate, they come out like 6 inches. Them now, they're absolutely massive, mate. And it comes right to where the bubble coral is, where the bubble, the anemone is. So I'm thinking maybe they might be stung by that, in the evening or something. I'm not sure, but there's definitely loads of marks on them, loads of like black spots on them, and they're eating alpha.
It won't surprise me, because it's a natural reaction from those corals that if they get agitated, they'll either retreat like zoas do. Chalices can't, so they're gonna sting, and things like favias won't, and canes, all those have quite a lot of tentacles that come out, but clowns just seem to be immune to it, maybe because of the slime coat that they've got, because of anemones will kill a lot of fish, because they're immune to that. Maybe they're immune to a lot of the others, because let's face it, if an anemone is probably a lot stronger, I think, just in terms of what it releases to other corals, but maybe I'm just guessing.
No,
so there's some other comments in about using hypo, which is taking the salinity down, but also if you've got shrimps and cleanup crew and stuff like that, I think as some comments have put in there, it could kill them. It could kill them, even if you bring it down slowly. Definitely, if you bring it down quickly, it will. But I think there's the problem. You've got some things that are going to help, but if you're putting that into the tank, it's a bit like if you use copper in the tank, that might help. But actually, you've knackered a tank out from a coral perspective,
Yeah,
because the
you can't
copper
do
just
it. Yeah,
hangs around, and so therefore you got a problem that
yeah,
copper will then kill the
yeah, for
coral. So
sure.
you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think on a lot of things.
Absolutely.
There was a couple of comments earlier on, wasn't there? There was one around losing some SPS, was it? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this question here, yeah, from Chris saying is Monty is in a suit and has started to bleach after months of growth, good coloration. Could this be because the temperature spikes we've recently had? I had a 3.5. It could well be, to be fair. I mean, I've got a suit, like, as you all know, huge one here. Just as I'm looking at it right now, and it's definitely grown, but there has been some white, there is like a few little white patches. Obviously, I've been away, guys, so I've had the mother-in-law who stayed at the house, yeah, and the guy who was originally coming down to look after the tank, he let me down, yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, he let me down. So I was a bit peed off, to say the least. So it was like a rush. So I managed to get a friend of mine who had a tank. Well, he's had a tank, sorry. He's not had one for a while, but he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff about it. So I just said, listen, all I want you to do is check that the ATO is topped up.
Yeah.
Everything else is self-explanatory. I can do it by my phone when I'm away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's anything, just give me a bell. You know, message me or whatever, and I'll be able to sort it out. You know what I mean? But what I think the mother-in-law's done is right facing me now is the blinds, yeah, the front big bay window, and I think she's turned the blinds where it's facing, you know, the daylight. You know, when we've had all that sun, so the daylight has been shining on the tank. So I've come home and it was like full of algae, and I've got and I don't know what's happened, but I'm sure it's got like dino, you know, like little bits of dinos. It's not on the rock or anything. It's on the glass, and I don't understand what it is. You know what I mean? So I've tried to figure out like what it is, because it's like little tiny bubbles on the pump heads, on the back wall, little tiny bits on the back wall. But when I tested me nitrates and phosphates when I come back, they're near enough zero. They've bottomed out near enough.
But if you've got algae, then that
Yeah,
algae will be feeding
it's
and
going to be
stripping it.
consuming
So
it.
it's not a
Absolutely.
false position. It's just so that the
No.
algae is feeding on your phosphate and
Absolutely.
your
But when I
on
say
your
algae,
nitrate.
there's no algae at all on the rocks whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's no
But it's
algae
on the
the rock.
glass.
It's on the side glass, and it was on the back wall. So what I've
Yeah.
been doing is I've just been like scraping it off, trying to get it, you know, off the back wall. Yeah, scraping
Yeah.
it. So obviously the nutrients are not being took up by the algae. Yeah. But like I said, with these bubbles, I'm like, what the hell are these bubbles? Because obviously there's different strains of dinos. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, obviously there's dinos where it's dead stringy and stuff like with bubbles on it. It's
Yeah.
not that. It's not that at all. What it looks like these bubbles on top of. It looks like the bubbles are on top of the algae. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But they're not stringy. So if you get a turkey baster, you just blow them and they blow off. And I'm like, what is this? And for the love of money, I just cannot work it out. You know what I mean? They are slightly going because I've been scraping the algae. So I've just been feeding the tank as heavy as I can, like really tons and tons of food for the fish. So they're like looking dead fat. Hopefully. So when I do take it out, I want to see the nutrients like come up, because like I said, when I tested it, nitrates were like zero. It was bottomed out completely.
Oh,
And
really?
phosphates were like 1 ppm. So there's something going wrong in the tank, you know what I mean? So like I said, I'm at a bit of a, but the tank, the corals look fantastic. That's the weird thing. It's a strange hobby. I'm like, why did it look so good if there's no nutrients?
That's because
You know what I mean?
that's because you haven't been doing anything. So you haven't been
Mate,
putting your hand in there. It's
no.
basically been rinse, repeat every day. Someone's obviously been in feeding the tank, and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you think about stability, you haven't been putting anything in there. You haven't been putting your hands in there.
No.
All it's done is run for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Bang on. I mean, when Jay was saying,
has.
when he came back from holiday, his tank looked really good. Well, you know what Jay does? Jay's forever. He's the tinker man, isn't he? So you know, if you stop tinkering, your tank's going to love you, I would say.
Yeah.
On that side. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But coming back to this question, I have not this year because I haven't got so many SPS, but I have found in the past where it's been hot weather, not as extreme as this, I have had the odd SPS bleach, but it's been about 2 or 3 weeks after the hot weather, because quite often SPS can bail, not straight away. They'll bail later on, I find. So therefore, 3 weeks later, you think, why is that gone? But it could have been something that's happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it could have been the heat in total, or it could have been the fluctuation. I mean, I've still got my tanks in the garage have been pretty much at about 26 to 26.4 for for the last 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. Even though the temperature's dropped outside, the heat's been trapped in the house, and I've just left it because it's pretty consistent. And today it's come down to about 26.1. It usually runs at about 25, but the tank must have been 26 virtually all summer. But I'm not fussed because 26 isn't a bad temperature to run your tank. The only time I've had a bit concerned, the most it's gone up to is 27.2. But eventually it will go down. So I'm not fussed, even if the weather carries on as it is and it stays at 26. Anything, you get a bit more algae. When it's a little bit hotter, I found the algae, but I've just left it. The algae will just burn itself out in time. Well, as you say, the corals look fine. Fish look fine. Exactly. Corals look fine. A little bit of algae, a little bit of diatoms on the sand bed. Doesn't look the prettiest, but the corals look good. So I've just, you know, things like the scully has blown up massive. And it's like one of those button ones, and now it looks like a proper scully. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm just leaving it.
No, I agree, mate. Like you said, it is so strange. Like when I come back, I couldn't. All right, granted, the glass was like dirty and stuff like that, and you know, it was looking a bit messy in that sense. But the corals just looked fantastic. I was like, wow, this is they look pretty good here. And then when I see all these bubbles and all that, now what I've done is I've raised my temperature up on my tank now, because I know that dinos can't survive in 82 degrees. They just can't survive in 82 degrees. So my tank's running now at 82.2 or something. I think it's running at now on this thermostat, on this thermometer. So I'm hoping, and I think that's the reason why I'm not seeing many of them. I'm not seeing many of them. They do seem to be dying off, especially on the left-hand side of these bubbles. But I need to get down to the bottom of it to find out like why my nutrients have bottomed out and why these dinos came. Because to be truthful, I've never really had algae issues. I've never had dinos. I've had a bit of cyano, but that was where there wasn't enough flow, you know, in the tank. So I really don't know where they come from, to be fair. I'm at a loss, you know what I mean, to be fair with it. So, but everything, like I said, all the corals, the fish are doing well. Everything, the tank looks spot on, and I've done another update. Well, I filmed one. Managed to film only a short thing of like when I've come back off my holiday. I've got a couple of videos already saved. I've just not had time to send them out. You know, put them out. Mate. I need to do it. But other than that, the tank looks pretty decent, to be fair. But it's a tough one, mate. It's a tough one. When you try to rattle your brain of like what it is, what could be, what the issue is, and stuff like that, and you just like can't work it out, like what the reason is. It makes me annoyed, that, you know what I mean. So
I think if it's just on your glass and on your back wall, that's a good sign, because quite often if it starts getting amongst your corals and starts irritating, so at least you can clean it off. And it's just a case of whether you use a net then to capture it, or
that's what I've been doing.
Siphon it off, because I find that sometimes if I've got, you know, a newish tank and I've got algae, the best way of doing it is scraping it and just using a net.
That's what I've been doing.
A hell of a lot of it, and the rest of it will just go down the weir into your filter, your roller filter and stuff like that.
That's exactly what I've been doing, mate. I basically just scraped it from the back wall. I've took the frag racks. I took them off so I could get right down, and I just scraped it, and then they all floated up in the water column. And I just had a net ready to catch it. You know what I mean? Caught all the algae and little bits and bobs off it. But like I said, I'm just gonna, and then I clean the pumps again. Give the pumps another good clean. Shoved them in some of the old stuff. You know what I mean? Citric acid and that, and basically I've given them a really good deep clean and all that. So they're off the pumps now. All the algae's gone off the pumps. So I'm hoping now that we might be seeing a little bit of increase in nitrates and phosphates, because like I said, there's no algae at all on any of the rocks. There's none of it on the rocks, because you can see at night time. We know when it completely goes out and it goes dark, and I shine a light in, and then you can see it then, whether there's any hair or anything, and there's not an ounce, not a piece of hair.
Put your lights on white, because you can go through with your XR30s.
Yeah, that's right.
And just put it onto one of the white lights, and then you'll know straight away, because blue light is really hard to tell. If you can see algae in blue light, you know you've got an algae problem. But in white light, you'll be able to see that. Obviously, if it's on your glass, you can see it, because you can't see through. But if you do it on the white light, I find that that helps.
Good idea, that.
Quite a lot. You can stick it on white. Because that's what I said to Ross. Because you remember Ross had that algae problem. It was only
Yeah.
when I was having a chat with him and he said about it. He might have it. I said, look, stick it on white and you'll know. And he did. And then he found it had a massive algae, green hair algae. I think he had algae,
Yeah, that's right.
outbreak. But under blues, unless it gets really stringy and wavy, you can't see it. And by the time it gets to that, it's, I wouldn't say too late, but it's a pain to sort out.
Yeah.
But there we go. Stuart, so you're in, I can't even pronounce where you are, but just outside of Barcelona. I must admit, we went to Barcelona for a few days years ago. It's brilliant. I didn't realise that at Barcelona, you obviously got a lovely harbour and the beaches were fantastic as well. So I had a brilliant time. So enjoy, Stuart. And then there was a question around auto feeders.
Yeah,
there we go. So have you used auto feeder?
Never used one, mate. So I am not the right guy to ask in that sense.
So I've used two different ones. One was the Apex, but obviously you need an Apex, and that worked really well, but quite expensive. The other one is the Eheim auto feeder. It runs off of, I can't remember if it's 2 or 4 AA batteries, and you set a timer up for it. So that's what I use when I go. What I do is about 7 days before I go away, I set the tank up as if it was when I was away. So I'll set up the auto feeder because, as we know, Steve, when Jay done that demo that time, it's really easy to overfeed. And what it has on the auto feed, it's got a little gate, and you move it backwards and forwards to let more food out or not. And it takes a bit of getting used to. So
yeah, but you know what though? You know what a fine thingy about that is? That's all very well and good when you know that gate if you've got like the larger pellets. But for fish that eat the smaller micro pellets, you know, those little macro pellets, you know, for certain fish.
Yeah.
Like even if you open that gate up by about you know, a couple of mil or something, you think of how many little tiny pellets are going to be getting squirted into that tank. You know what I mean? So
I mix it up. So I put the bigger pellets, the smaller pellets, and I crush up flake as well.
Right.
So I find that works. So I crush all 3 of those. Crush up the flake, mix it all together, put it in there, and I've been fine. But what I find is because I run it for a week, you can then see if you're overfeeding or not, and also you can test it as well. So I always do that. The week before, I set up the tank and don't touch it just to make sure everything's okay.
Right.
And that's what I've done in the past. So I find the Eheim one is a really good auto feeder.
I think a lot of people go to the Eheim, don't they? To be fair.
There might be other ones, but they seem to be the main ones, Steve, that I've seen. And I've had 2 of them. So on the 3 tanks, I used to have the Apex on this one, which is a really good one. And then I'd have on the other 2 tanks, I had the Eheim one on each one of them. And I've got to say, they bang on.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think the more people I know of who've been in the hobby, they tend to use the Eheim one all the time. You know what I mean? So I think I don't know. Like you said, I don't know whether there's many of them out there. To be fair, you know what I mean? But it's something I've never really used. I mean, maybe I should use one if I go away, you know, for like a long weekend or something. Like the kids love camping, and so we're going to be doing that in next year sometime.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be going on a few little trips and stuff. So like if we're away for 3 or 4 days, I don't need to get anybody in because I know a 25 litre is going to be enough, sufficient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that. All right, granted, the glass won't be clean, but I can sort that out when I get home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
3 or 4 days is nothing. And as long as you try it out beforehand, and all the fish feed off of it. The problem I used to have sometimes was when I had a mandarin and I was feeding for a whole week. So all I did was just throw loads of copepods into the tank, loads of copepods into the sump.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't target feed, even though the mandarin fed off a frozen. Obviously, I was feeding to go a week without any food. And when it come back, I would just target feed it constantly because it would lose some weight in that week. It would be okay. So that's the only problem. If you've got fish that don't feed off of flake or pellets, which to be fair, most fish do. And that's why it's because sometimes I find that cardinals don't always eat pellets, but they'll eat flake, or it's the other way around. So that's why I'd mix it up because I knew all of the fish would then get a good, decent feed. And also you can get the algae pellets and the bigger ones in for the tangs as well. So it worked well.
Mickey Boy Mick said Moggs didn't miss the Chan speak to you about. He did speak to her, but he spoke to her about before the holiday. This was so all of this stuff has happened after since I've come back from a holiday. So obviously something's happened while I've been away. Don't really know what. I think maybe the lighters thingy with the algae grew the algae, and then obviously not being cleaned and stuff like that. And with me, like with my two tank, that's what I am getting. Actually, I am going to get 2 new fish. I'm going to get a tang. I don't know if I'm going to get 2 tangs or I'm going to get 1 tang, and I'm going to get maybe a fox face, because I do. And fox faces are the best herbivores out there by a long shot. They just go around munching on any algae. So I don't know whether I'm going to go. I'm definitely going to get a fox face, but I don't know which tang I'm going to go for. It's not going to be a yellow one. I'm not getting a yellow tang. I might get something else, something different.
Scopius or something like that, because you want a small one, really, don't you?
Yeah, or a Timini or something like that. Like a little Timini or something like that, maybe. But I'm definitely getting a tang, because, like I said, they're the best fish for sorting your algae, and that is really one of the reasons why. Like when I did start to get little bits of algae and stuff, just tiny bits, I never had any algae when those fish were in the tank. Never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was just no algae whatsoever, you know what I mean? And it was because they would just go around eating it all the time, nibbling all the time, you know what I mean? Keeping the tank clean. So I definitely need to get a couple more fish in there, and obviously it'll raise the nutrients as well. So hopefully once I've figured out what all this stuff is in the tank, like I said, it's just on the side panel, a little bit on the back wall, and a little bit on the side glass, but that's it. The rest of it is all done with, do you know what I mean? But I'll get to the bottom of it. I don't know what it is, but I'll get to the bottom of it, you know what I mean? But
as you're back to normal now, it might just burn out, it might just go.
Yeah,
you're scraping it off and you're taking it out,
scraping
and things return to how it was before, that can just go.
Yeah, exactly. X-Skin said, I had that algae with bubbles in my 20-gallon back wall and glass. I just tore down, new, so wouldn't have a clue what it was. Yeah, that's what I mean, mate. I mean, I'm like you. It's something. It's definitely not. I don't. It might be a different strain of diatom. Sorry, a different strain of. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I'm at a loss, because it's not stringer. You know what I mean? You'd know if it was, it was like the audible stuff, the stringy stuff and all.
Yeah.
But it's not stringy. It's just like little tiny.
Have you tried Googling it? Like kind of, I don't know. It's not bubble algae, is it? But
no, it's not bubble algae. No.
Different types of algae, and then see if you can match it up in some shape or form. That's all you can really do.
Yeah,
trying to identify it.
Yeah, I've got to get into it, but like I said, I've just been, because this is literally the first week back, from the holidays. So like it's literally like just been like a clean up, make sure everything's right underneath the tank, everything's fine, filter rolls running fine. So I think the ATO, not the ATO, sorry, the KH keeper is doing a splendid job. I never thought I'd say that, but everything is doing really good. You know what I mean? With it, it's just like I said, those little bubbles. But I'll get to the bottom of it. I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And then it'll look even better than it does. So we'll figure it out.
So I just seen a message from Howard. He sent me a message on not ready for a ticket.
Yeah.
So Howard, I don't know if I'll have a chance this evening to respond. If not, first thing tomorrow morning, I'll be in touch. So I can certainly get you a ticket for the 17th. So thank you for that. So I will.
Steve,
I'll be in touch.
Steve Connolly, he's got a Zacro CY009. I find it really good. Never heard of it. Yeah,
let's have a
never
look.
Heard of it. Yeah, Google it. My EIM is on the tank all the time. I feed pellets with it every morning. UK Reef Bro. Mickey Boy Reefs, good one. Bristle tooth tang, really good one, to be fair. Bristle tooth tang. All these tangs eat algae. You know what I mean? Every one of them love algae, don't they? You know what I mean? I mean, my tang used to love like munch on algae, but it also loved mysis. It loved all the meaty bits and everything. You know what I mean? So I think they're just fantastic fish, aren't they? Tangs. You know what I mean?
So that's the Zacro.
Let's see. 1 minute.
USB.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
And it looks like on the edge of it,
USB.
You can. It's a USB auto fish feeder.
That's good.
So so where are we there? So you can see that there, how it clips on. It's not very good. How it clips onto the onto the side of the tank as well. Because with the E-Heim, you can't. I can't remember if you can clip it on or not. I think you can. I just sit mine on top of the tank, I must admit. But I think you probably can clip them on. But it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Cold tank, brilliant algae eaters, absolutely. Any advice on a frogfish? Yeah. Make sure whatever fish you've got in your tank, it can't fit in its mouth, because they will swallow anything they can fit in the mouth, those frogfish. Beautiful fish, but yeah. They're a bit like the lionfish. You know, lionfish. I always wanted a lionfish in my tank. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I seen a dwarf lionfish and all that. And then I thought, even a dwarf lionfish, my mandarin is not very big. You know what I mean? And if anything happened to that mandarin of mine, I'd be absolutely devastated. So that's hence the reason why I stayed away from him, because even a dwarf one looks like his mouth can open a fairly decent size. You know what I mean? That you can fit a little mandarin in it. So I've always stayed away from him. But they are beautiful fish. Same as the frogfish. I think they've just got like little great personalities. I've seen a few of them, and they do just look like they've got really good personalities. But they'll eat anything they can fit in the gob. So just be aware of that, mate, for sure. Bristle-tooth, top algae. I have one. He's like a lawnmower. You know what? Maybe it's possible that maybe that might be the one that I might go for then. I'm sure you'll all find out soon anyway.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, a Fish No Chips said they got a convict tang. I love convict tangs. They look so nice. Although I've never had one before, but can they be a little bit of sensitive fish, unlike a lot of tangs? Because I've heard that convict tangs can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they are or not. Whether maybe just someone had a bad experience. But I found all the tangs I've had have been pretty good to look after. Like pigs, not had a problem with them. Although I've had, only had about 3 or 4 types, to be fair, of tangs. So I haven't got massive experience, but the ones I've had have been easy to look after.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've only ever had the yellow tang, and then I had that brown tang, didn't I? You know, the brown, the brown tang. The brown tang, it was like, that was a lawnmower. That was like major, like bang on eating food. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? It used to eat algae for fun, that one. But it was perfect with the yellow tang.
Yeah.
And then when I think it was like, like if fish start puberty and they go into adolescence, and they turn into right bleeders, do you know what I mean? I think when he turned into like it being nasty, he just kept on going from a yellow tang all the time. It was like he changed or she changed, like that was it. And it was all the time. It was biting it. It was eating. It was awful. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know you're supposed to have tangs in last, aren't you? Into your tank. It's supposed to be the very last fish. Do you know what I mean? So, whatever fish I do get, I'm gonna get 2. So I don't know whether to add the fox face is a definite. I'm definitely getting another fox face.
Yeah.
And then the next one is going to be a tang. So it's going to be one of those tangs. It's going to be, like you said, the convict tang, those bristle tooth tangs, or I don't know. Maybe we'll a cold tang. Like you said, there's loads of ones I can go for. But I don't want it to get too big. Yeah, I don't want it to get too big. It's only a 350 in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So things like a Regal or other ones like that, they come in, and they come when you get them, they're like 50 pence piece.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you go, how big? And you could get a purple tang, but I'm not in a purple tang, but I hear they can be quite aggressive. But it's like any fish, it can be quite aggressive, and really depends on its nature, doesn't it? More than anything else.
I mean, I should have. In retrospect, I should have probably got one of those gem tangs when I went to Finest Aquatics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The missus for Father's Day, she's like, "Oh, I'll buy you one." And I was like, "You know what? We go away soon," and I didn't want to put the pressure on the guy who was going to come in and look after the tank, and then the mother-in-law, with a new fish, and I thought I didn't want to put that pressure on him. Do you know what I mean? So I left it. And then obviously, lo and behold, I knew they would all be sold anyway. I contacted him and said, and he went, "Oh, you can place a pre-order for some." So I'm assuming they're getting some more in. Do you know what I mean? So I left them a number, my name. They knew me anyway because I've been in before. So I just said to them, "Listen, if you get it, give me a bell." And I think they're selling them at the same price as what they were selling them for originally. So
how much was it? How much was that?
£275 they were selling them for.
That is really good, because they used to be a lot more expensive than that.
They still are, mate.
Yeah.
Certain LFSs, and I'm not going to mention the names on here, but just Google them, just type it in, gem tangs, and those shops will come up on
What
Google.
are they about? They're
And
about
they're like
six to 800 quid.
£500.
Was it
500 quid, mate.
500?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, £600. Take it in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a lot of money. Well, it's a big comparison, isn't it, between
Yeah.
500 and 200.
I don't mind paying 275 quid, mate. You know, I like I said, I should have probably done it, to be fair. You know what I mean? But I was maybe a bit overcautious with it all. But I didn't want to, and plus I didn't want anything to happen to it. Yeah. And then the next minute, you know, they're on the phone saying, "Oh, it's dead," and I'm like, "Oh, you'll have to fish it out," and you know, they were all that
You got
stress
all
with
the
it
hassle in,
also.
or you can't
Yeah,
find it
and
because it's
there's
been
nothing
eaten by
I can
everything
do.
else.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then it could spike your nutrients because of a dead fish. And I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, mate, I don't want that while I'm awake. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I never even, what do you call it? I didn't bother. But that has put Steve, I was on holiday. Holiday was fantastic, mate. Yeah. Brother got married over in Turkey. So it was a great occasion. And was you watching your tank on camera like Jay was? No, I wasn't, mate. I wasn't watching it. I haven't got a camera pointing at my tank, but I was going to get one, and then I thought the mother-in-law might think I'm spying on her, so I thought I better not. You know what I mean? Yeah, imagine, you know, like one of those where you can speak through it and all that.
Yeah.
Probably
Stop
shit it up, wouldn't it?
overfeeding.
Yeah. So no, I haven't got one, but maybe I could get one. Maybe I should get one. To be fair.
The thing is, though, I mean, Jay was saying he was constantly looking at the camera.
Yeah.
He then had the fan plugged into a USB plug, so he could then, when the temperature, he can then turn the fan on. And he said his missus was sitting there reading a book and stuff like that, and he's sitting there looking at the temperature because obviously it was hot here,
Yeah.
and he was sitting looking at, should I turn the fan on? Should I turn it off and stuff like that? So I get the appeal of having a camera, but are you just going to be paranoid? I've never. When I've been away, I've never had a camera. I've gone away and just let it crack on, and because otherwise you never go away.
Well, the main thing for me was, like, I had this guy, who was going to come and do it for me. He's got his own company, and I've known him, and he's a class of as a friend of mine, you know what I mean? But he said he had a couple of issues. I mean, I don't know what they were. I didn't go into it. And he was apologetic and this and that. But it left me in a lurch then, because then I couldn't say to the mother-in-law, "You need to do it all," because that's not right. And I thought she was more frightened to death of minding my tank, mate, than the dog. You know what I mean? I've got a 8-stone bull mastiff here, and she was like, "I'm not bothered about the dog, but Steve's tank." She said to my missus, "There's no way I'm looking after that tank." You know what I mean? So she was petrified, and you find that a lot, you know, where especially if you put somebody under pressure who don't know anything about tanks, they don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So
no, absolutely. My mum used to be like that. That she used to get so stressed.
Yeah.
And she couldn't wait till we come back. That after a couple of years, I decided it wasn't fair on her because she was constantly on the phone, just constantly stressed about it. I don't think it helped that before we got that, we had a fresh water, and it wasn't her fault. The heater got stuck on and it fried my son's tank, and all the fish other than a couple died. It wasn't her fault because the heater went on it. But she was just paranoid something would happen to the tank.
Yeah.
So in the end, I just said, "Mum, it's not worth you coming around because you're going to get so stressed," and it wasn't fair on her, to be fair. So that's when I set up everything that we needed to set up. And then if she came in, I just phone and says, "Everything all right? Does it look all right? Is there any funny noises? Blah blah blah," that kind of thing. But then, to be fair, if she said there was, I'm not too sure what I could have done about it anyway, because it might have been fine, and all of a sudden she's putting the wind up and everything. Oh my god! And of course, I had the apex on it, so I knew that the temperature was all right, and so I knew the heater hadn't blown. And if the auto feeder didn't work for 3 or 4 days, it'd make no difference because the fish could do without it. And when I went away last time, the radium packed up on the Tuesday. I came on the Saturday, switched the light over, and the corals are fine. 4 days without light. Coral haven't got a problem with it. So
that's what I mean, mate. I mean, like you said, and that's the reason why I have all mine, like I said, set up on like fail safes in a sense. Yeah. I'm not saying, like, God forbid, you know, like if something major happened, like say for instance my heater went off. What could I have done? What could my mother-in-law have done? She couldn't have done anything. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But the apex is set to, like, if it goes too high, to trip off, if it goes too low, to come on. So it's just one of those things. But if the heater completely gone in it, There's nothing I can do about it. What could what can you do? And those sort of things. But the saving grace with all sort of things like the apexes and like the new things that Reef Factory have come out with, all these different things. The fail safes, they're just there to help you for if we go away, say. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they're there for. You know what I mean? So we can control them while we're abroad or while we're away or gone away for a weekend. And it's just that peace of mind. That's why you spend an absolute fortune on these things. People go, is it necessary? Well, hold on a minute. I've got X amount of money invested in this tank, yeah, and I've got a £700 apex. You know what I mean? Linked onto it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can control it. So God forbid I have a leak, I can switch the pumps off. You know what I mean? I've said it. Yeah. If it overgoes onto it, I've got the leak detection kits.
Yeah.
That switches everything off. So if there's water water that's found underneath the stand, it'll switch everything off. Switches the pumps off. It switches the skimmer off. Switches everything off. Do you know what I mean? So these things are just here just for my peace of mind, to be fair. But they have stopped a lot of things happening in the tank. So I can't fault it. You know what I mean? But
that's why I've got the battery backup for the Vortex.
Yeah.
So they're not cheap. I don't know how much they are.
No.
They're about $150, which is a lot of money. And I had 2 of them on the tank over there. I've now switched them to the other tanks because obviously this tank's closed down. And I've relied on them 2 or 3 times before when we've had power cuts and stuff like that, and they've lasted 6, 8, 9 hours. I'm not fussed about the temperature. I'm more fussed about the circulation in the tank than anything else. Now, I'm not saying they've saved the tank, but the fact I haven't had any flow in that tank for 6 or 8 hours, yet they both kicked in, and you got an okay amount of flow that keeps the oxygen going and the surface turning over is good enough for me. And just keeps it just going around the tank, so you just don't have die off really, I suppose, on that side. So it works fine. I think there's a Carl Best, isn't it? Did I see that? That's Reef King, isn't he? He was
Carl. Yeah,
he's under an alias.
Is it Carl Best?
That's what he's got. Yeah. That's Reef King.
Is it?
Yeah, because he's asking a question. He's asking how's the tank going? So the tank over there. So it's going all right. I mean, I've only got the light on now because of the live stream. It's been off. The light's off all the time. It's I've had a prawn in there. The prawn's taken ages to disintegrate, but now I've got ammonia. So I've now taken the prawn out. So now I should start seeing a kickstart of nitrite and nitrate. Yeah. I've ordered a small bottle of bacteria. That'll go in next week just to help the tank, and I've got to put some sand in. But at the moment, things are going fine. The auto top off, which is only small, it holds about 2 litres of water. That's lasting about 3 to 4 days.
That's not bad.
All I've got is a little bottle, 2 litre bottle, and I have a spare bottle in there, and I just top it up. So actually, I think I'll probably live with just topping it up every 3 or 4 days, and I won't bother buying an auto top off. So I could get one and have a bucket or a barrel in there, like 20 litres.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't need to, because I'm going to run this tank on not on a budget, but on limited number of components.
Yeah.
The skimmer is really noisy, so I run the skimmer overnight to bed it in. But I'm not sure I'm going to run a skimmer. I don't think I need to. So in the end, I might just end up with a return pump, the light, and the heater. I don't think I'll run it on anything else other than those 3 things. I don't plan to get a power head because I think the corals I'll keep won't need high flow. But you never know until you get corals in a tank whether you need more flow or not.
No.
So at the moment, it's got really good surface. You can see it. I hope you can see it moving out there.
I can see it.
So that's just the return pump going upwards. I could always get a more powerful return pump.
Yeah.
So I could do that. But at the moment,
I think that's enough, though. I mean, it looks like you said. It looks a lot, doesn't it? And surface agitation there for sure, mate.
That's the main thing. So as long as I've got a little bit of flow going round,
exactly.
I don't plan to keep SPS in there, so I know I don't need high flow.
Exactly,
most LPS.
So what you tending that you're going to go with? What you aiming more towards?
So the first corals I'll put in there will be zoas. I've got quite a few zoas in the other tank. So I'm going to put some zoas in there. I've still got loads of recordias in the sump of the other tank because I've run out of space. And then once it hits about 9 months or so, I'll put some rock nems in. So I've never had a rock nem before, so I'm going to get some rock nems because I like the look of those.
Yeah.
And then I might go with other nems as well. So I might make it a nem tank. I don't know yet, but I won't do that till about 9 months, because then I know it's mature enough to put anemones in there. But I've never had them before, so it'd be something completely different. But to begin with, I can put zoas in there and other stuff, candy canes, and they should be as right as rain in there. So so the lights are not on, but it's really light in this room because of that. So I'm thinking I might put a couple of fish in there and still have the lights on, which I haven't really done before. But you've got enough natural light, and you get a lot of light coming in through the window during the day, that I don't think the fish would need lots of light. Because what I don't want to do is put fish in there, bang the lights up, and all of a sudden they get loads of algae, because it's still I mean, there's I've got 3 or 4 pieces of live rock in there, and you can tell the difference. They have a different color to the rest of the rock, but there's no way I'm going to put fish in there at this stage, because if I whack the lights up, I'm just going to get loads of algae, and I'm trying to avoid that. And I'm in no rush because I've got other tanks. So yeah, Cole, it's going fine. I actually really like the tank. I think it looks really good.
It looks top dog, mate.
I think it'll be really easy to maintain. The lights look pretty. I'm not totally happy with the setting of the light, but I'll wait until I get that up and running, and then I'll mess around with it and then let it be. The auto top up is really simple, but it's gravity fed. There's not much else to say about it really. The skimmer's loud because it hasn't been broken in yet, and I haven't sorted out the silencer. I'm
not being funny. It's not skimming anything out yet. You know what I mean? So
it's weird. It has, when I put it on, it was skimming a little bit, but that's because I put it on because when I took the prawns out, there was loads of crap in it, so I stuck the skim wrong. So I wanted to take out, not all of it, but I want to take out a lot of the particles. I put the sponges in just so I could get rid of all the stuff that was in the water column. Now I've turned it back off. So I don't know if I'll need a skimmer. I know skimmer's got benefits other than just nitrate and phosphate. It can take other crap out of the tank that you don't see and you don't test for. But we'll see. But so far, so good. I really like the tank. My wife absolutely hates it because she thinks it's too small. Because she really liked the 5-foot tank with the yellow tang and the what's it called, the peacock wrasse and all that. So she just said today, when are you putting fish in? I said, not yet. So she's not happy that I've got a tank that's empty. It's not going to have much in it. So, but I'm patient. We'll wait and see. But it's a stopgap. But I think it'll be really good. I'm enjoying it. And also, I think I can run it. It wasn't the purpose. I think I can run it really cheap from an electricity point of view. If you got 3 pieces of power on it, that shouldn't cost that much.
No. So and especially with the prices, what we have all heard today, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean, mate. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. Something's got to be done because I don't know what's going to happen, mate. I mean, it's going to be an absolute nightmare, isn't it, for everybody? So we're all in the same boat, you know what I mean?
The cap's gone up by 80%. I mean, 80%, that's a hell of a lot.
I think it's been, I think I heard something like it was it's going to be the highest ever within 30 years or something, you know, price increases and all that. 30 years, mate.
Inflation.
That's a generation. You know what I mean? It's insane. People you know, I mean, like I said to you, I mean, my bills are expensive. I live in a poxy terraced house, mate, and at the end of the day, mine are like £2,400 now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you know, sitting there, like you said, we spoke. It's got to go up by another £100 a month. It's £100. That's £100 a month. Doesn't seem a lot when you look at it, £25 a week, but it is because your wages don't go up by that. You know what I mean? We've not had wage increases, have we? You know what I mean? So
not properly. It's not just that obviously your electricity bill and your gas bill comes. You'll see that, but then that's going to have an impact on business, which means prices will go up in the supermarkets and other stuff like that. So I think, I mean, we've discussed before the number of tank setups that are for sales unbelievable. I saw it was a Red Sea XL 750, which I think usually retails for what? 1,850 quid, something like that.
Yeah.
There was a guy selling it. It was about 18 months old. So I don't think that's up. He's selling it for 400 quid. And when someone said, hang on a minute, you're way underselling that. He said, well, I got to get rid of it because it's taking up, what's a 755 foot, 6 foot? I can't remember. I think
5.5 foot in it.
Yeah, something like that. It's quite a big tank. He said, I just want to get rid of it. And there's just, I mean, I saw another one that someone was selling a complete setup for 600 quid. It was a 6 foot tank, had some fish, had some corals. The kit was okay, but not the best. But 600 quid for a 6 foot tank.
Madness.
I wouldn't say loaded with corals, but at least had about 20, 30 decent corals. Once you think, oh yeah, that's a nice coral, that's a nice coral. 600 quid. And the guy just wanted to shift it and just want it done. But the problem is, you probably can't give it away because there ain't people out there buying at the moment. There always will be some people buying, don't get me wrong, but the amount of supply out there, just if you're buying a tank, this is the time to buy out there.
And I think the main money is still in the corals. You know what I mean? You're still gonna, if you sell all your corals a lump sum or whatever for a decent price, people will buy your corals. There's no doubt.
Yeah, if you got the higher end stuff and it's a reasonable price, if you got like chalice, torches, some decent SPS, so a little bit above the run of the mill, some nice zoas at a decent price, and you got
decent colonies. You know what I mean? If you got nice colonies,
I think you will, and also decent fish. If you got like peacock wrasse, some tangs. You will get rid of them because they're hardy to tank life already, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
But I mean, people struggle to sell setups before this because actually, I did it. I went and bought a setup, as you know, for the old tank, and it's such a pain moving everything. I came from Derby, put it all in the car, 2 cars, brought it down. It's a real pain, and then to set it up as well that same day, it's really hard work. So it's easier to sell it in bits, but you just got to be lucky, haven't you? I suppose as well.
Absolutely, mate. That's it. That's exactly what you've got to do. It's a tough one for everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I think we'll get through it. The government they've got to step in. They've got to step in. It's simple as that, mate.
You would hope so.
But we've known about this. This has not just been like a 1 or 2 year thing where we've not known. We've known about this for 10, 15 years, mate. We're relying on everybody else, you know what I mean, to get electric and stuff like that. You know, why not do it ourselves and be sustainable ourselves? Do you know what I mean? And do it instead of buying it all. Let's get it. Let's do it ourselves. But you know what? And now it's come back to bite on the arse, mate, and it's biting us on our asses now. You know what I mean? Everybody else is suffering. This hobby will suffer. No doubt, other things will suffer. Companies will suffer. But if everybody I don't know how true. Like millions of people could be going bankrupt, you know, with it, like really, because then that's going to have a knock-on effect because, you know, it'll stop like people spending, people won't be able to spend, you know, and the inflation and all that, and the economy will start to go, you know what I mean? Because nobody's being able to spend anything because we can't afford to, you know what I mean? So,
and the weird thing, where we've had problems in the past, it's because people start losing their jobs. Actually, there's full employment out there, not in every industry, not every part of the country, but there isn't a shortage of jobs out there. So it's really weird how it's flipped, that it's not about jobs, it's about how just prices have gone absolutely through the roof, haven't they, on so many things, and it's driven by so many things from COVID right through to what's happening in Ukraine. But I say it's got to be done because it's going to get worse when you look at October. I mean, look at LFSs, they're struggling at the moment, aren't they? I mean, I don't know if people noticed, I meant to say this last week, Kraken sold. So Finest Aquatics have bought Kraken. And the reason why I say and I stumbled across it, if you look at the bottom of Kraken's website, it says, I think it says Finest Aquatics trading as Kraken. So Dom sold by the looks of it. I could be wrong, but if you look at the bottom of their website, it doesn't say Kraken Corals anymore.
Have they like not gone into like a partnership or anything like that?
Well, I mean,
because if you think like Dom,
but it's changed. It's now Finest Limited. It's Finest Aquatics Limited. So the actual name of the company has changed. Whether it is Kraken Corals, I can't remember if it is limited or not before, to be fair. But now, if you looked at the bottom of the website, it says Finest Aquatics Limited, trading as Kraken Corals. Now, I don't know if that's a merger. I don't know if Dom's sold or whatever it is, but the name of the company has changed. And I don't know, because obviously I know Dom, he's been on here, but I don't go into Dom's and I haven't asked him on that. But you can see companies merging and stuff like that because it's tough out there, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I mean, I was just scrolling down some of the things there, and Paul and UK Reefer there has just put. I've got customers who's busier than ever. Got a client whose electricity bill has gone up by £80,000 a month. That's just insane. I mean, I read in the paper and with the Metro up here where we live, and a company. Obviously, this guy is. They make plastic moldings. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of moldings, but plastic moldings, and he's got a factory. He employs 98 people, I believe, or something like that. So is it by all accounts, it's a relatively successful businessman. Do you know what I mean? And he was saying that he's just got his new billing. Yeah, he pays £900,000 a year. Yeah, that on his electric bill, 900, and he's got his new one in, and he's got his new bill, and he's saying it goes up to 5 million. He said he won't be able to trade. There's no way he could do it. It's impossible. £5 million his bill is, he says.
And that's without anything else.
Electric bill for 5 million. I couldn't believe it, mate. I took a snapshot and showed the missus of it on my phone. I was like, you are kidding me. From 900,000 to 5 million. That is just like insane, mate. But you know what? It depresses me when talking about it. You know, like it really does depress me about it all because, like I said, we could have sorted this. This could have been sorted and avoided years ago. But we've stuck to our guns. We kept on like, oh, we'll get it here, we'll do it, we'll buy it, we'll bring it in, and now we're all suffering. Not just us, but around the world. You know what I mean? So and around Europe, but it could have been avoided, I think, anyway. But I was just looking at a few other things, say where people, who was it? UK Reefer again was selling a full nano for £200, not even a bite. That's insane, and it even had a light with it. Yeah, it's just madness, mate. I mean, like I said, I with my tank, I wasn't. I mean, I spoke to you, Paul, like that, and like we want to move into a bigger house and stuff. But obviously, we was going to look before COVID, and COVID hit and stuff. But like the missus wants the house doing up. Like if we don't move out, she wants this house doing up, and like from top to bottom, you know, like literally from upstairs, downstairs, everything. So I was like gonna sell mine, take mine out, do all the living room, but then keep some of the top pieces. Buy a smaller tank, like a 170 or whatever, like I had before, or something new, something different. And put that stuff in the kitchen, and then obviously get rid of my tank and the stuff that I'm not going to use. Keep the stuff I am going to use, and then when all the living room is done, then I can transfer it then and move it into this. That way, we get the best of both worlds. Granted, I'll have a smaller tank, but at least I still have the corals that I want, you know, in it and stuff. But it's so hard what to do because, like I said, I can't keep all of it. I'd probably end up giving it away in the end, you know what I mean, if that was the case. But I mean, like Mrs. said, it's you put a lot of time, effort, money into it, you know what I mean? And I am frustrated with it all, but like she says, you know, oh, I do want the house doing it. So it's like a catch-22 for me. I'm like, I'm the wit's end, like, what do I do? You know what I mean with it? But there's definitely, I'm not selling all my gear. There's no chance, mate. A lot of the stuff is going to be staying, I think. Anyway.
Well, you won't get much, and then if you're going to set up another tank, you might as well keep it because if you clean it off, which is what I've done for the 450, all of the kit. I mean, the Gen 3 lights I could sell, but I haven't got round to it, and I'd probably end up selling them for like 30 quid each. They're 7 years old, and just to get rid of them. So it's difficult to do. That's why we broke that tank down because of having an extension and stuff like that. But now that's on hold because we can't get a builder until next, I don't know, at least March, April. So I'm glad I closed it down, but I didn't need to close it down when I did. But
UK Reef Bro said sold last week. Word around the campfire, they are looking to acquire a London LFS soon as well. So I'm assuming Finest Aquatics are buying everybody out then.
So I've heard they're looking for an LFS in the south area. I don't know what that means. You know, in fact, if you look in London, there's hardly any LFS. There's hardly actually in the kind of suppose a London postcode for whatever reason. Reef wise, there's a couple around, but not many. I would say the ones that I knew, Charterhouse used to be in East London, and there was another one that was in Great Portland Street, which is in the West End. Both of those closed. Charterhouse is still around. They're moved out to Hertfordshire, I think it is. But it wouldn't surprise me if they acquire someone else. I think they've got, what I've heard, they've got a massive warehouse. They'll focus a lot on online, but then obviously they've got the stores as well. And of course, the bigger they get, the more buying capacity they've got. So they could, I suppose, get things in cheaper. Must have deep pockets, because it's not cheap, is it? Opening up a LFS, and then even harder to make money.
It's the electric, mate. It's the electric. That's the bottom line of it. I mean, if you think about it, just like this cottage company, electric from $5,000 to 25,000. Imagine how much it costs to run like multiple frag tanks, multiple lights. Yeah, even in a small LFS, mate. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, it must be astronomical. The electric must be absolutely astronomical. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, God forbid. Like, I mean, how much would things like you said, like, you know, what's it called? Where they buy all the fish from? Oh,
TMC. Their bill must be astronomical, because of what was interesting. I done a live stream, didn't I, from AAC the other week when I launched the event. And speaking to Paul after, his electric bill is higher in the summer than in the winter, because he runs air conditioning throughout the summer. Because someone said about the fact that, you know, how do you keep the tank cold? Well, when I was doing the live stream from there, I was cold. We had an AC blowing right on us, and it was like 24 degrees. Because he said if he turns that off, he can't control the temperature in it, or it's difficult to control. So his electric bill is worse in the summer than in the winter because of that. He's got really good insulation and everything else. Of course, if you keep your room at a certain temperature, I mean, he heats the tanks, but if he keeps the room at a certain temperature, then the tanks will stay at that. So it's easier to heat the room than it is the tanks, if that makes sense. And I've heard that before. But yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. So they've got electricity. The LFS has got the electricity bills going through the roof, amongst other stuff, supplies and things. And then they've got less people coming in through the door. It's like, it's a perfect storm, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. UK Reefers would cost me more to shut it down than it would to just pay for the bill. So I'll keep on.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I know. You know what? That's what you got to think. You got to think to yourself, you know what? I'll have to just do an extra day's overtime or something. That's the way I'm looking at it. An extra day will cover the bill. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for the month. So for me, it's like I said, whichever way I go, whichever path I go, I'm still going to have a tank. There's no way I'm not going to have a tank. So it's like, I'll have to speak to the missus and just see exactly what we could do. I mean, the hardest thing is like, even if I drain that, you know, because she wants all new flooring, you see. So even if it drained it, and moved it into the kitchen while I lay new flooring, I could do that within a day. Lay the floor and all that where it is, and then put it back. It's a lot of stress on the coral, a lot of stress on the fish.
Well, what you could do, you could sell off some of the coral, the ones you think. So what you could do, you got the colonies, sell those off, keep small frags. You could do that, and so therefore your prize pieces like your chalice and some of your torches, keep those. Yeah. The others, and I found that, you know, the ones that you've had for years, I've kept smaller pieces. I've actually given some of those pieces away to other people too, because if I give those pieces away, if something happens to mine, then I know the guy will give me some pieces back. So I've got insurance there. So, you know, if you know some people say, well, look after these corals for me, blah, blah, blah. That kind of works as well, doesn't it?
John's put, I've hardly had my heating on in 4 years. I get wrapped up in the winter and would rather be cold than sell my tank.
so his fish are warm. John, your fish are warmer than you.
Yeah. God, imagine me if I said that to my missus, we're not putting the heating on, mate, in the winter. Oh, the look I'd get. You know,
you'll be out the door.
This heating in this house, I swear to God, mate, I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, I'll come in and it'll be like stepping back in Turkey. You know what I mean, or Morocco or something. It's that bloody hot. You know, when I come in. And yet when I go upstairs, all the doors are open. Every door's open. Yeah, the back door's open. I'm like, why have you got the heating on? If you got every door open, it's just insane, mate. You know what I mean? Just burn. But I think this time we'll have to definitely, like everyone, we all have to knuckle down and try and save on what we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely, we want to keep our tanks going. That's for sure. You know what I mean? And the wife will go first, as she's cost me more money. Hey, mate. Yeah. Carl's put, this has got to get bad in the next 3 months and a recession is coming. I totally agree, mate. Definitely. I think that's the next thing that's on the card.
Do you know the one above? Because I like a good rumour. Don't let the rumour get in the way of a truth. So
my money is H2O or Charterhouse. What
Yeah,
that they're
so
going to buy?
So if you
Wow.
look at it, this is
Can't
my
see that.
this is my theory, right?
Yeah.
They bought Kraken because
Yeah.
Kraken's got a really good online business. With online businesses, you get really good data. If you've got people who know how to mine data, your marketing could be really, really good. So you think about
and Dom's a computer wizard.
yeah,
Isn't he,
absolutely.
as well?
So you think about all that online now. H2O Aquatics, it's a really small shop in Brentwood. It's actually my local shop, and I've been using it for years. They've had a really good online presence for years. When I first came into the hobby, they were strong in online. So they've got some really good data as well. Charterhouse, arguably probably one of the biggest online sellers for donkey's years. So they've got a massive amount of data as well. So if you want to buy an LFS and you're strong online, buy a LFS that's got a lot of data, because then you could use that data and you could then market it really well to then increase your online sales. That's just my theory. So I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if that's true or not. Them two, but they're really strong in online. I mean, Charterhouse. If I want to Google to see how much something is, I'll go to Charterhouse because they've got a really good search engine on their site as well.
You know what though? You know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering if like in the future, if this is like the future, what we're all gonna have to live with or cope with. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whether the majority of LFS stores are basically, rather than having open doors, are just gonna go online. I think it'll save a lot more money. You know what I mean? To be able to, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
If they just went to online shopping. And then they did the fit, like sent the fish out and did it that way. You know what I mean? Instead of having it all in one, instead of having it all in, like, say for instance, Kraken, yeah? Say for instance, they could theoretically shut all their tanks down, yeah? And use theirs as like a warehouse for online shopping, you know what I mean, yeah? Then use Finest Aquatics for all the livestock. That way, they're shutting tanks, they're saving money in that sense, with the energy, with the prices of the electric, because they're not running tanks and they've got them all in just one store, as in like Finest Aquatics. And then Finest Aquatics could just move all their dry goods into where Dom's is, you know what I mean? And do it that way. That's what I think. I think that's the way it's going to go, mate.
Well, if you have a look at, so Charterhouse Aquatics, they used to be based in East London under some railway arches.
Yeah.
And it was the best LFS I've ever seen. The actual atmosphere in there, if you think about under arches, all the brickwork and everything else, they must have had at least 20 tanks that were wet. So they had both marine and they had fresh water. When I used to go to work, I used to go past them. So I used to go in all the time just to go in there and look at it. And then they had a fish house as well and a massive counter. When they moved from there, and their electricity bill, I think at that time was a lot. I think it was like 50 grand a year. I mean, God knows how much it would be today. They then moved out and I think they closed. They don't sell fish on site. They don't sell corals on site. You can buy fish and corals, I think, by their website, but they're shipped out from somewhere else. So they've got a counter, so that classes them as an AFS, so they can then get all their suppliers to supply them. So they'd already gone that way 2 or 3 years ago. So you can walk in and use the counter, and I've been in there once, but there's nothing to see. They've got a couple of tanks set up, but not a lot, Steve. Yeah. So they've already done that. So they don't have all the electricity bills that everyone else has because they don't run tanks. Unless I'm wrong, they've changed. But I went in there a couple of years ago and they had one big tank and that was in a small dry display as well. So you could see people expanding to get the data to increase their online. And that's where they make their money. I mean, dry goods, the margins are a lot less because it's about 30% markup on average on dry goods. So not massive, but if you're doing online and you've got a really good system and you've got really good data and you sell to your customers based on that data, you could do a lot of business. So whether that's their model or not, I don't know.
You know what? You could well be right there, mate. You could well be right. I'm with you, Carl. That's what I said to the missus. We're stacking up on candles. We're going to have the candles lit and all that. I mean, I don't mind the candles. The missus has the candles lit in the house anyway. You know what I mean, to be fair. So she has them all over the show. She has them in the bathroom and everything, my missus,
Yeah.
candles and all that. So, like, they're a regular occurrence in our house. But I think they'll be
my,
even more of a regular occurrence.
So
you know what I mean?
my son's girlfriend makes candles just as a little hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, and she was thinking of selling them. I don't know how we go on to this subject, but the kind of regulation you need to follow, and you know, when you have all this candle wax and stuff like that, you have to test it to say that it's passes safety, which is obvious, and that's safety. But some of her candles that she makes are just absolutely fantastic. She's got some mold as well. She gets the molds, and she does them sometimes like got sweets on top, and strawberries and raspberries and stuff like that. And she absolutely loves it. She does it more of a hobby. And then my wife, her friends buy the candles. But there's a lot to it, I've got to say.
The Grumpy Reefer. Absolutely, mate. I get the online thing, Rogsy, but I actually enjoy visit, mate. We all absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like it's the thing, but I'm just thinking that might be the model. You know, like having more of one as a warehouse online, and we all love going to see our FSs, but how many is going to be still open at this rate? You know what I mean, mate? I'm think like somebody said up in the comments before. Gloomy times, you know, for LFS stores and stuff like that, and for this hobby, you know what I mean, to be fair. I mean, we've spoken about it before, haven't we, Paul? Yeah, this is not a cheap hobby to get into. It's more of like
it's a luxury.
It's a luxury hobby in a way, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is, so absolutely.
You know, at the end of the day, it's not like playing a game of golf, buying a set of golf clubs, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then off you go to the golf course. It's nothing like that. It's cost all the time. You're always paying out for your tank, whether it's salt for water changes, whether it's like your reagents, whether it's your calcium and stuff like that, which I pay for. So it is an expensive hobby, and people are thinking to themselves, listen, I need to put my heating on, I need to pay my electric bill before, and that's why they're coming out of it, you know what I mean? But I totally get, like he says, like Grumpy Reef says, chatting to the lads and buying bits. It's a bit sad, but it's like a happy place to be that I could just go and have a chat. Mate, totally get where you're coming from, mate.
Absolutely, Grumpy Reef. As you know, I go AAC as well. Love just going in there, even if I don't buy that much, and sometimes I buy a lot and sometimes I don't, but just to go in there, have a chat, and when I go down there, Jill knows I'm going to be down there for a while, and occasionally there's where AAC is in the centre, there's a cafe there, so sometimes I'll actually go from AAC and go and sit down with some people in the cafe, have a drink, obviously not a beer because there's no beer in there, but have a bite to eat, and I'll sit there for a couple of hours with some people just chewing over the fat. So it's a really nice place to go, and then you've got a nice cafe next door, and actually those people that are going to the event, you don't have to worry. Well, say there's food in the cafe next door, so you'll be well catered for there. But in fact, Grumpy Reefer, next time if I meet you down at AAC, we're going to have a obviously after the events. I think you're coming to the event, aren't you? We've got to sort that out for you, but we'll meet up, maybe Carl and a couple of others, and we'll have a chinwag in AAC, and then going to have a bite to eat and a cappuccino or whatever your thing is. But for me, it's just it's an experience. I hate shopping. Don't get me wrong. I hate going shopping, but I go shopping for corals and that, and it's brilliant as far as I'm concerned. But it would be sad if we did lose. I mean, if LFS closes, then regardless of online, the hobby would suffer, because when people have problems and people want to talk about things that are complex, they don't do it online, do they? They'll tend to go to an LFS. Not everyone, to be fair, but a lot of people will go into an LFS, and quite often I know people they'll buy stuff from elsewhere, and if they've got a problem, they'll go into the LFS to get it sorted. So they are, sure. I don't know, would you say they're the lifeblood of the hobby? That sounds a bit over the top, but for me, they are. I mean, I got into the hobby because of Charterhouse. I went to Charterhouse, bought my first lot of stuff from Charterhouse while it's an LFS there. If that hadn't been there, I didn't know something. I probably wouldn't have got into the hobby, because I got a lot of advice for them. I shopped around, I saw the tanks they had and made my choice there. And I didn't know many people at that time in the hobby. So without Charterhouse, I probably wouldn't have bought a tank. But There we
Battery
go.
free for Jonathan there saying, was reading something the other day. The average 150 litre tank costs 62 pence currently to run. So that's £17.36 a month. You know what? It's quite possible that, to be fair. I think my bills went up by about, not now, when I first went, it went up by about 30, it's about £30 or something a month, so it wasn't much, with mine. But now I don't even know what it's gone up to now, to be fair. I wouldn't even have a clue. So I'm assuming it would probably be more like 45, maybe £45 a month. Mine's running £50 a month, I'd say, I think, to run on mine. I mean, I've got about 16 plugs. You know what I mean?
I was about to say, it depends on how you set up your tank. That's why I think there was sorry, Carl, I wasn't ignoring your comment earlier. You said about you got an auto top up that you can give me. Really appreciate it. I'm going to stick with what I've got because I want to just hopefully not show, but just journal about keeping a tank that's quite small and it doesn't cost that much. So I'm not going to put loads of kit on it. I'm not going to put loads of lovely coal. Well, put lovely coals in it. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not going for, gold torches and stuff like that to say, well, actually, you can do this. And actually, the first lot of NEMs I'll put in there, I probably won't buy. I'll swap. So I'll swap some coal with some other people and do that to try and do it on a budget. The other two tanks, I'll spend whatever on those, and I've got some, more expense and stuff like that to show that actually you could buy a small tank, really enjoy it, and it won't cost an arm and a leg to do it.
Listen, you can get, there's tons of small, lovely, beautiful, incredible tanks out there, mate. And like you said, I think if I went smaller again and stuff like that, I would probably go on to water changes. I would probably do water changes as opposed to like more dosing of it. You know what I mean? I will probably do it. I will probably go that route, in a sense. But I mean, like they were just talking about the Calquasser and stuff. I mean, that for me, I think is the way. If I do keep this tank, is the way I'm going to go, because, like I said, like my stupid thing is like crazy now. It's like over 300 mil a day, 320 mil a day.
It was
it's
hundreds
just like,
of quid.
Mate, it's insane. When you sit down and work it out, it's a lot of money, mate, a year. You know what I mean? And Calquasser, you could buy a massive, great big bag of it for peanuts, can't you? You know what I mean? So, the dearest thing is the stirrer. That's the main thing. Is the equipment, which is like everything. It's the equipment, but like I'm sure, I reckon if I could look for a second-hand one,
I'll look out for you on Ultimate Reef, because quite often on Ultimate Reef they've got tons and tons of kit.
Yeah, if you see one, let me know.
At the moment, I'll let you know if you get one. The other thing you could do, Steve, is if you actually cut back a lot of the corals, your demand for stuff would then go down. Your corals will have more space. I know they then start growing again, but I'd said this before. I wish I'd done that on the 450, because it looked at its best a couple of years ago. It then become overgrown. And it's a bit like the garden. When you've got plants that are overgrown, they don't get enough light, they don't get enough air or breeze or things like that. And the tanks are no different. So, and the corals probably weren't in that last 12 months at their best. If I'd had my time again, I would have cut them back probably about 2.5 years ago, cut them right back. So it still looks nice, but not as big as they did. And let them grow out again. And that way, because I was dosing, I don't know, about 230 mil a day of alkalinity, which is not that much, but it's still a lot. All that was adding up. I mean, now my RO, I'm using hardly any RO at all. When I think how much RO I was making a week, I'm now making RO every 3 weeks instead of every week. Which is more of a pain than a cost save. But obviously the water bill is improved. And my time's improved on that, so there's definitely a lot of benefits. And I've got actually seen UK Reefer there. I've got T5s on a tank in the garage. I've switched off the T5s. I don't need them. I've got 2 Gen 4s. I haven't really got any high-end SPS, and the 2 Gen 4s, I've moved them up a little bit so you get better spread, and it's fine. So I've got 4 bulbs that I'm not going to replace. I'm not using, and the 2 Gen 4 Radians do the trick. And actually, by raising your lights up a little bit more, you get better spread, turn up the intensity. And let's face it, LPS, those kind of things don't need high power. So it's no big deal. There's definitely things you can do. And I think then Backshift Reefers could easily cut back on, say, a takeaway a month.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God, the price of takeaways. I've noticed now. Whereas before, we could have a takeaway, it'd be like 35 quid.
Yeah.
It's not now. It's 48, 50 quid for the same stuff. And our
Exactly.
Chinese has gone up far more than our
Yeah.
Indian.
I
I don't
noticed
know
that.
why. It's just like, how much?
To be honest with you, yeah, I mean, I've seen it in stores, you know, supermarkets. We on average used to average around about 100 about 100 pound 100 about 100 pounds or 120 pounds a week for my food shopping, you know, for 4 of us, yeah, which I think is pretty reasonable, yeah. And that's what, and you used to get like five or six bags full of your food, you know, you know, your veg and stuff like your tins, etc., yeah, your meats, and you used to come out that. Now we go to supermarkets, you're spending 120, 130, 140 pounds, and you're coming out with 3 or 4 bags, and you're
Yeah.
like, what in the hell? And I look in the fridge. I've got a great big fridge in there, yeah, huge, like a mega-gallon fridge, and I put it in it. It looks like I've only got like a cucumber in it, tomato, you know, a pack of meat, and I'm like, we've not just spent like 140 odd quid. It just looks absolutely ridiculous. To fill my fridge, it'll probably cost me about 700 quid, mate. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, this is just absolutely insane. Everything, like you say, from Chinese takeaway, well, from any takeaway, you know what I mean? Takeaways to shopping to food shopping, everything has just gone up in price, mate. But and not by a little bit, by like a crazy amount. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if you go to the chipper, they don't even give you a bigger portion no more. The chips, like potatoes, have they gone up? The potato prices are like, kids go, when can we go and buy a bag of chips? Yeah, no problem. Round here, they're like, a large bag is like £1.85. And you used to get, and listen, a large bag.
Steve, that is cheap.
No, yeah,
185
you live
compared
it.
to where I am.
Yeah, but
Jeez.
you live in London, mate. Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
180. I live in this. I live in this. No offense, yeah, the depths and beyond, yeah, in Manchester. But like, 185 is like is a large portion. Now this large portion would feed like both my kids. Like,
Yeah.
give them to. Now it won't even feed one, mate. Like my son, he can eat the whole bag on his own for the same. So that means you got
kept
to
the
get two.
price the same and shrunk.
What? No, the price has
number.
got to £2 now. £2 for the large portion, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're getting half the amount.
Oh, really?
You know, so you've got to pay £4 and get 2 portions, because one portion is nowhere near enough, mate.
Yeah.
It feeds my lad. You know what I mean? And my lad's a big eater. My daughter's a small eater, and even she's like, she can nearly finish a bag off now. They're just skimping on everything. But I think it's like I said, prices of potatoes have gone up as well, haven't they? So
Well, the
everything's
price
gone
of,
up.
I mean, yeah, I feel really sorry for fish and chip shops because obviously they use a lot of electricity, don't they? And then the price of fish has gone sky through the roof because we've got a wet fish bar around the corner to us, and I use him quite a bit just to get some cockles and some prawns and other stuff like that. And he's like, he's had to put his prices up. But when he's telling me when he goes to Billingsgate and the price of stuff that's going up, you know, for skate per kilogram and things gone from, you know, £8 to £12. And then sometimes you go up to 15 quid and go back. And he's like, I've got to put my prices up. And so I know how much fish has gone up by. It's just nuts.
It is, mate. It's absolutely crazy. But you know what? We can only hope and pray, mate, that the government, you know, sort their heads out and help everybody. You know what I mean? Especially like the elderly and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They're like, you know, that Martin Lewis and all that. He's like fears for them and all that. Like we all do. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, both my grandparents are still, well, 3 of my grandparents are still alive, 86, 87 respectively. So they're all still alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now we have to pay extra care with them now. You know what I mean? I mean, my gran lives in a big house on her own. You know what I mean? And she's not in the best of health, to be fair. She had a fall and she was on the bathroom before I went away. She had a slip, she fell, she banged the hip on the toilet, and she was laid there for 24 hours. You know what I mean, mate? So on her own on the floor.
Terrible.
So I mean, yeah, we've got to keep her out, and especially like during the winter and all that. She's one of them, my gran, yeah, where, you know, and you find this a lot with the old age pensioners, don't you? Yeah, she's a wealthy woman. She's a wealthy woman, my grandma. Yeah, she's a wealthy woman, but she will scrimp and scrape on anything, mate. Yeah, and when I say anything,
that's how they were brought up, though, weren't they? That's the problem.
She was brought up with like 9 brothers and sisters. I think my granddad had like, I think my granddad had 15 brothers and sisters. Do you know what I mean? They had no TVs in them days, so it was
my dad was one of 17. and they all
yeah,
lived in the same house.
yeah.
And what happened when the older brothers, they were at war, when they came home, they brought their mates home. So not only did they have 17, they had their mates come home, and I think it was their nan and granddad that lived with them as well. I mean, and then
Yeah.
we've still got the house they lived in, and you think, how do they all fit in this house? It was just like nuts. But you're right, no TVs.
No TVs,
Clearly.
mate. So, but she's like that, and I know my gran. She'll be like panicking like mad. Yeah, she'll be panicking like mad. Oh, the electric prices, the gas
Yeah.
prices, and I mean, she lives in a big house, like I said. Yeah, she lives in but it's the house that my gran and my granddad bought. You know what I mean? And he's been dead over 25 years. My granddad, but like she's never moved out. My mum's even said, why don't you downsize, mum, move into like a little bungalow or something? And but she won't leave there. You know what I mean? She'll only leave there when she's sadly not here. You know what I mean? But she's got to heat that house up. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, it's not very
she's gonna
efficient, is
worry
it?
about this. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be
Yeah.
very efficient for her, but she'll be like panicking like mad, mate. And I know she will. But we're gonna have to help her out. But Howard's put he lives in Hampshire. £4. Listen, my kids won't be having fit chips, mate. If I lived in Hampshire, they won't be. I'll be making it myself.
$4.79.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
£4.79 for the large chips, not particularly well cooked. I'd want them to feed it me for £4.79.
Do you get a free gift? You want a free gift with that, wouldn't you?
I'd want a free gift. Listen, Howard. Yeah, up here we can get fish and chips for £5.20.
No, round here's about. I think it's
£5.20.
I think it'd be about 11 quid for cod and chips, and that's a decent.
Wow.
I mean, the fish and chips at the top of the road, really nice, really big bag of chips. But I'm sure it's about 11 quid for cod and chips, and you get. I mean, it's a decent sized portions and that, but I mean, it's not.
£11. Oh my mate!
You can get two lots for that where you are. That's what I'm saying about it's not cheap.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, yeah, but you know what? Like the cost of living is probably like is higher.
Yeah, the cost of living is more here, but it's still. You go in there and you think you get cod and chips for the four of us, and you go, how much have I paid? I mean, to be fair, we can get 2 large bags of chips, and that will feed the four of us.
Listen, I'm looking down here where you guys
sandwich.
live,
and I swear,
sandwich and kept £4 and £8 for it. Listen, I'm telling you now, mate. Yeah, I will make my own fish and chips for that. If I had to pay that, I'd buy my own fish and I'd batter it and I'd buy a fryer and I'd do it myself, mate. There's no way I would pay it at 50. Carl, 15 quid. Yeah. That is insane, mate. And no gravy.
In the south, this is where no gravy. Mind you, Carl, I mean, sorry, maybe it's a no. I couldn't have gravy on my cod and chips. I'm sorry. Mushy peas, I like a mushy pea on the side, but gravy's not my thing. I know there'll be loads of people saying, oh, you got to have gravy, but it's not my thing. Do you have gravy on your cod and chips, Steve?
You know what? Yeah, this is. I have gravy. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
If ever I get fish and chips, which is very rare to be fair, I don't really get. But I'll get fish and chips and mushy peas. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will get a tub of gravy, and what I'll do is I'll scoop my fish to the side. Yeah. And I'll put the gravy on the chips, and none of it will touch the fish because it goes soggy, doesn't it? You know, like when gravy touches it goes soggy.
I've never had gravy on my fish and chips. I've had it on chips before, but not cod and chips.
Yeah, no, it's not happening, mate. I don't have gravy, anything like sauces on my fish because it just makes the batter taste dead soggy. So no, I have it on my chips though. But UK Reefer, you can get blown for £5.
I don't think you can follow that one.
Yeah.
Skeggy, 650.
Skegness, I absolutely love Skegness. You know, we had many holidays down there when we were kids in Skegness. I tell you, it's fantastic. Chips and gravy up north is nice, absolutely, and it's cheaper than Howard. 16 quid. 16 quid.
I know. And usually cod is cheaper on the coast. So wherever we go out to the coast, whether we go down to Cornwall or we meet some people we know down in Dorset and things like that, or Westford Hoe in North Devon, fish and chips is always cheaper. And I always think, well, yeah, because the catch comes straight off the boat down the road. It hasn't got to travel all the way up to London or Southeast or anything like that. I mean, and that may be right or wrong, but I always find around the coastal towns it's cheaper. But I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. like you said, mate, everything is crazy, and like you said, with the cost of prices of fish and all that, it's just a knock-on effect in it. You know, everything,
Yeah.
fuel prices onto the fishermen, then fishermen catching it, and then their taxes and stuff like. It's just a knock-on effect in
Yeah,
it. You know what I mean with everything, mate.
Petrol and diesel. I mean, when we was away in Cornwall in July, we paid £1.99 for diesel.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you notice
it has come down a little bit, hasn't it? The
No,
prices
it has,
of diesel, yeah,
Did,
by about
did
20,
you notice
30
that
pence.
it never went above £2? Every all BP, not BP garage, Shell garages it was mainly, yeah. All up here where I live in the north, where you would think it would be slightly cheaper. Every one of them was all 199, 199, 199.9,
Yeah.
199.8, yeah. None of it touched £2. I don't know why. I don't know whether there was a cap saying, listen, you can't go over £2, there'll be an uproar, you know what I mean? But I mean, and now it's come down. I think it's like diesel. Mine's a diesel. I think it's what is it, 177 now, is it? Or
Not sure. It's
178?
about 10
I think
pence
so.
higher for diesel than the
Right.
standard
Yeah.
petrol, which always
Your
sticks
petrol,
in the throat, doesn't it? That there's a 10 pence difference on there. I did see it above £2. That was on the way down to Cornwall, because obviously motorway service stations, their petrol price is usually like another 10, 15 pence above everywhere else. So that was the only place I saw where it was above £2 on the service stations, and I just we didn't touch it. I'd always fill up, make sure, because you know you're gonna get ripped off from the kind of motorway service stations. But you know, tears in my eyes when you think about £2.
Oh, I know.
That's just like nuts. But there we go.
You know what? We were when I was in Turkey. We went on like a few, like a few trips and stuff like that. And we went on like a jeep safari, and it's like I'm not going to bore you, but it's like where you turn into a kid and you're fighting water guns, and it's just a good laugh. It's a great laugh, you know, with the kids and that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's good fun. Everybody enjoys it and stuff. And we were going past this all the petrol stations, and it was coming in at 19 Turkish lira, yeah, which at the time it works out to around about 98 pence, 97p. That's what it was for a litre over there of fuel, mate. You know what I mean? It was just absolutely insane. Less than a pound for a litre of fuel. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
It is nuts.
It's mad. Well, yeah, Carl, your nan lives in Skipton. Yeah, you mentioned when we was at Kraken, didn't you? That you was going to stay, but then you went home, didn't you? You went off.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'd love to live.
South, he's off to Liverpool. Have fun, mate. Have fun. Tartar sauce, tartar sauce with fish.
Oh, I've got to say, I do like a wally, which is a gherkin. Yeah, cod chips.
A what? A
wally? We call it a wally, which is a gherkin. Which is a gherkin. We call it a wally. So we have cod chips, mushy peas, and a wally.
Right. Never heard of it called a wally before. I like gherkins.
I don't know. Is anyone else? Is that just a southern thing? I don't know. Or maybe it's just a me thing. But yeah, you got wallies.
Yeah. Got Johnny Poo. Johnny Poo. What a name that is. Johnny Poo.
I know. Johnny Poo has been on here before.
That's a cracker. That I love that. Brian Smith, Breezy Refort, signing in. Evening, lads. Evening, mate. Let's see. They've been kicking off in Saudi. Petrol has gone up to over 20 pence a litre. Yeah. Let's all move to Turkey. Stop it. To a wally. A wally. What's that? Is that what it's called? A wally?
I don't know if it's spelled like that. Maybe it is.
Wow. Never heard of it called that before.
Well, there we go.
I remember when we was kids and the gherkins used to be on the bars, you know, when you used to go in bars, snooker bars and stuff like and they used to have big jars of gherkins.
Pickled gherkins, were they?
They had pickled gherkins, and up here, I don't know whether they had them down there, and they had like the eggs, you know, the eggs.
Pickled eggs, absolutely.
And they had them on the bars.
What, in a snooker bar?
In a snooker hall where I used to go. Yeah, I'm talking, God. So my granddad was alive, so flip heck, and I bet I was about 8, 9, so about 32, 33 years ago, and I always remembered it, and I first tasted a gherkin, I was like, oh my God, and I went, no, never, but then as you get older, I started
you appreciate it,
have them on salad, and your taste buds change, don't they? You know what I mean? So now I absolutely love it. I've got to have them on a salad.
Yeah. It's weird. I always used to go to snooker halls all the time. I haven't been in one of them for years. I think the last time I always remember when Tyson fought Bruno, And that was on our
Yeah.
local snooker hall. And we didn't. I don't know if it was on Sky that time, but we didn't have Sky.
No,
so
it was on
remember,
IT. It was on ITV. I remember
was it
watching
IT?
it.
We went there
ITV,
like
yeah.
2 in the morning. We went to the snooker hall and
Yeah.
played a few frames, and then we watched the fight, and then walked home. And it was a good 45 minutes from where we lived. It's funny what sticks in your mind, isn't it? And that was just a brilliant atmosphere when he caught him, and they thought he was wobbling, didn't they? You thought he was going to take him out, and he lost in the end. But it's funny what you remember. But I used to love going to the snooker hall and spending hours in it.
You know what I'm thinking is like, is pie and mash down in London like a big, because David Beckham was on one of the podcast was on that Gary what's his name now, Gary Neville, was on the Gary Neville the thing, and he was talking and he said his favourite food is like, obviously he played for United,
double pie mash with liquor,
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So
and they have like a thing, but it's not gravy, is it? It's something different, isn't it?
It's parsley sauce. It's absolutely. I mean, it looks horrible. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Parsley sauce on a pie. That's not like that.
I mean, I'd rather have. No, I'd rather have the liquor than gravy. I've got to say, it's absolutely superb.
No, I don't know about that. I'd have to
it's definitely. I think it's definitely a London. Well, it's an East London thing, which is where I was brought up. Pie mash and liquor. My mum used to always have jelly deals.
But what is liquor? No, is it a parsley sauce?
Yeah,
is it an actual parsley sauce?
Yeah, actually call it liquor. And then you get with the vinegar, they have peppers in there. It looks like goldfish in the vinegar, but it's actually peppers or chilies. I can't remember peppers or chilies that's in there. But my mum always used to love jelly deals, which I like, with mash. She didn't used to like the pie with the liquor as well. But I think jelly deals is definitely, it's like Marmite. You love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
No, there's no way I could eat them, mate. I can't anything. No way. You know what I hate? I mean, I can't eat pork. I used to be able to eat, like pies all the time, and pork pies. But for some reason, the pastry now, it gives me heartburn. I don't know whether it's the butter or what. So I get really bad heartburn with it, So I tend to go, and there's no way could I eat a pork pie with the jelly in it. That jelly. I used to. My mum used to get it. I used to have to. I pulled the meat out, scraped all the jelly off, and then put the meat back in the pie and ate it. I was like, no way. I just couldn't eat it, mate. You know what I mean? So, no, anything like that, jelly deals, you've got no chance. They could pay me £1 million and I couldn't eat one of them, mate. No chance.
I tell you what, it'd be hilarious if I got you, Ross, and Jay down, and we went for pie and mash. I'd eat absolutely. Can you imagine Jay's face? Jay's face if he saw it.
Like parsley sauce on a meat and potato pie. Like, what the hell's that?
No, but I mean jelly deals, because you have to, you eat them and you got the bones in them and stuff like that, and then they got the jelly around it as well. My wife hates to look at them.
Mate, I couldn't. I think I'd throw up, mate. I would. I'd say this. I don't think I could. I couldn't eat it. No. Have you ever had one?
Well, jelly deals, I have them all the time. They do it up the road.
Oh no.
Nearly every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll get a pot of jelly deals for Jill's mum. She loves them as well. So I have them every so often. But I'd rather have pie and mash than jelly deals. But if jelly deals are somewhere, I'll have a bowl.
Right, Brian. Yeah. Right, boys, enough of the petrol and condiment chat. What's the best resolution for air algae? We was just talking about this before. Air algae. Tons of tangs, mate. Get loads of tangs. Plenty of cleanup crew in there. Tons of, when I say tons of, I mean, that's the thing you like with mine. I've got loads of cleanup crew in it. So, for me, that's the reason why it's either kept the algae down less than what I think it is. Do you know what I mean? Other than that, like loads of tangs, loads of anything. Like I said, I've got an algae blenny in here as well. He does his job, goes around eating the algae and stuff. But definitely tangs for me, mate, are a massive things. But then obviously you've got to test why you're getting all this hair algae.
I was just about to say, how old is the tank? How old is the tank, Brian? Because
you've got to test it.
If it's up to 12 months, then if you've had your lights on and it's a younger tank, that can naturally produce the hair algae. In which case, then is it an algae blenny? What is it? There's an algae blenny. Algae blenny are brilliant at it, but if it's a younger tank, then it should naturally pass because it's the algae is out competing the good bacteria and everything else. If it's an older tank, then it's probably you've got something up with your nutrients, because testing won't show that you've got excess nutrients because the algae's feeding on it. So you've got to try and find out why have you got excess algae that's feeding it. You can put a refugium in the sump if you've got a sump, because that would work, because then you've got your algae light running. That would then outcompete the algae in your display. So that can, that's it. A lawnmower blenny is good for algae on that. But I think, Brian, how old's your tank? Because that can quite often tell you what the issue is. Because when I set up the 170 before, I just put the rocks in, stuck the lights on, and I had hair algae like this. I then put a blenny in, and it hoovered it all up over a 2 or 3 month period. But that was because it was a new tank. And I just put too much light on it. So I think there's that, trying to find the cause is probably the best. And also what kind of algae, because they're not always green hair algae. There's other types of algae that are real hard to get rid of it. Cottage reefs put about manual removal. That definitely definitely helps.
It depends. Yeah, like you said, it depends on, like you said, how much there is of it. Is it if it's all in a row? Definitely. I mean, when in my 170, when I did have an algae, because obviously I was new to it, and I had an algae outbreak, and I had it all on the rocks. I remember just putting my hand in, pulling it all out, tons of it, tons and tons, and I was doing it like every other day, getting it all out to as much as I could. Then obviously I had an algae blenny in it and stuff like that. But and then eventually I found out what it was, because I was overfeeding the tank. That was my problem, you see. I was feeding it way too much. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the light was too powerful. I had the light on too strong, but it was a learning curve, for me, while I was just getting adjusted to it and learning. And then eventually, like I said, once I pulled it all out and I managed to get the nutrients under control, I never had any algae issues, and touch wood, I've never had any algae issues in here. It's been running over 3.5 years now. So, but you're best off, like you said, finding out what the cause is. But
so if you have a look, Brian's responded there. See if you look at it, 5 months old. So I suspect it is the immaturity of the tank. You could be overfeeding the tank, or your bioload is high. So I don't know how many fish you've got in the 200. So it could be you've got a lot of fish, or you're overfeeding, therefore you've got excess nutrients. The light is just helping to grow the algae. So I would kind of things I would do is cut back on the feeding. Look at what filtration have you got. Are you taking out excess nutrients? I would get a lawnmower blenny as well, and over time it will go.
And I'm not being funny. The heat wave that we've had as well. You know what I mean? To be fair, is your light is the light been shining? Is your light been shining on the tank directly? That can really seriously grow hair algae within days, mate. If the natural sunlight comes in straight shining onto the tank, seriously, it can. I mean, like I said, I think that's what's happened to mine. To be fair, the blinds have been shining onto the tank, where I have them the opposite way. So I mean, you need to just test your tank, and like you said, Paul, really, it's just like process of elimination in it. You know what I mean? Like you said, is it overfeeding and stuff like that? You'll figure it out, mate. It'll come good.
But a lot of it is the cause is that the algae is out competing the other bacteria for the nutrients, and therefore sucking up all the nutrients. And you're going, wait a minute, I've got no nitrate and phosphate. That's because the algae's loving it. So if you reduce that level, I think also there's a good point in there by Roger about getting fish or livestock, clean up crew. There's loads of things you can do naturally that will that will help. Yeah,
exactly. And like you said, so it's like why tanks don't show any air. Absolutely, GHA, green hair algae. Can you put a lawnmower blenny in with a minus blenny? Don't see why not.
I don't know.
I don't see why not. Don't see why not. I mean, you can put different blennies in with other, of course. I think you can.
I'm not 100% sure, because I don't get.
I had one of those yellow ones in mine, and I had an algae blenny in it, and they both fine. The only thing was the yellow blenny jumped out of my tank. So that was the problem before I got a net on it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, so I don't know is the answer. I don't see any reason why not, but I don't know because I've never. I know what you mean about keeping the same species in the same tank.
well,
But yeah, manually removing. Yeah.
Chris did put a finger there though, like Tamini tangs and bristle tooth, because they're smaller, so they'll be fine. They'll be fine, definitely fine in a 200 litre tank for sure, Brian. To be fair, so definitely look into something like that, because that's what I'm going to be doing anyway. I'm definitely on the search for a tank for my tank anyway. I'll probably get one this weekend. To be fair, Saturday or tomorrow or Sunday. I'm working tomorrow, but finish about 2 o'clock. But I think that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, the other thing you can do, Brian, I don't know if you've got any corals in the tank. Because if you haven't, you could reduce the intensity and also the lighting schedule.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got corals and you don't, I don't know how long you're running the lights for, but you could consider that just to help calm things down a bit. So there's a number of things you can do to help bring it down. But I think control of nutrients, also putting things like copepods, live food into it, because copepods, I think BRS TV we're doing a lot around by adding copepods, live food or live critters into new tanks really help. It helps build the biodiversity, helps they eat the algae and nutrients and everything like that. So things like that would is a natural solution that will help the maturity of the tank. So you could do that. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to be culturing some copepods and also some baby brine shrimp because they're really easy to culture. So I'll put all that in the tank. That helps build the diversity in there as well, which then helps them to stabilize and mature. But 5 months, not unusual. If you've got your lights on, and you've got dry rock, there's a good chance you've got excess nutrients that you'll get algae.
Yeah, because definitely, like you said, with lights, that feeds algae, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Your lights
just like it does your corals, it feeds your corals, and it feeds everything else that's in the tank as well. But so good question.
Sure. Yeah, really good question. Let's see if we've missed any. I think we're actually kept up on with these comments. To be fair, but once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But I think we've had a bit of everything. We've had a bit of food. I'm starving now. I've not even had any tea. I'm absolutely famished, mate. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go to the chippy. No, in fact, I might go to the chippy.
You're going to go to the chippy. Yeah.
I might
give you
fish chips and peas. I'm thinking, you guys thinking, here's me eating my £5.50 chips and great chips, fish chips, and reason is you eating your £16 one, mate. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no. Other than that, I think everything. I'm up to where everybody.
I think you're up to date.
I'm up to date, mate. Yeah, by the looks of it, yeah. So we've banged on time. 3 minutes left.
No, it's gone really quick.
Spot on, boys. Yeah, Bragg, you'll be fine, mate. 5 months is no problem. It'll come good, mate.
I tell you what, Southeast Reefer is now fixated about Liverpool and his £5 note or £5 coins. I'm sure it's not fussy whether it's one of those slippery 5 notes or old-fashioned coins. All works.
I'm thinking of you when I'm eating my fish and chips, mate. Oh, mate. But no, I think that's. So what's your plan for this weekend, Paul? Are you doing anything? You think that's
my youngest's birthday tomorrow. So we've got people round, so that'll be really, really nice. Other than that, we're decorating one of the bedrooms. Not exciting stuff, but because this has been delayed here, we're now starting it upstairs. So painting for now, and then we're moving rooms because our eldest has moved out. He's bought a house around the corner, so we're moving bedrooms and doing all that kind of stuff at the moment. So even though we can't do downstairs at the moment, we're going upstairs and doing some work up there. Are you working, Steve?
I'm working. Yeah, I'm working tomorrow. I'm in at 5:30 tomorrow, so I'll finish at 2. I think something like 2 o'clock, and then I think just got to go and do a few errands, pick up some dog food because my dog eats raw meat. He's on a raw diet, so got to pick him some food up. That's another thing. Never get a dog when we're in a crisis like this, like a big dog like mine, because you know what, mate, he eats more food than what we do. You know what I mean? Like the cost of it is insane, stupid. You know what I mean? But yeah, we love him, and he's a pain in the ass, but he's He's worth it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, do that, and then I think I'm going to head over to my good friends at Out of the Blue. I'm going to see them. They did say they were getting some tangs in, so
Okay.
I don't know which tangs they were getting in. They did have one. Forgotten which. I think it was an orange spot or something like that. I think it was, or something like that. I can't remember. It had a colour around its side. Like, I'm sure it was orange or yellow. Can't remember what fish, but it was a tang. But then when I checked in, it said expert level. You know, in that live aquarium, it was like expert level. And then it says it can nip at certain coral. Like, I was like, whoa!
I mean, have a field day in your tank, wouldn't it? Especially
exactly.
if it's after the soft corals.
That's what I'm saying, mate. I was like, whoa, good job I didn't buy that. Mrs. like, buy it. I think it was like 75 quid. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I might get that. And then I went outside, checked on it. I was like, whoa, let's go. We'll just get some copepods instead. Let's shoot off. You know what I mean? But
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, yeah. Andy's Reef. Catch you all later. Yeah, guys. Darren, have a great weekend. Have a good one too, mate, as well. UKM, have a good weekend all, and South East Reefer, have a good time, mate, in Liverpool. I'm sure you will. You know what I mean? So enjoy your time. But once again, guys, I know it was short notice, putting all the stuff up on Instagram and things. I really appreciate you all.
No, it's been brilliant.
Joining. There wasn't many people on today. We did well, but I think it was my fault because short.
It's a lot of people away as well. Yeah,
and that's it. Yeah, a lot of people away. Yeah. So, well, like I said, thanks for joining in, guys. I am going to be doing an update on the YouTube channel, so get over there and definitely tune in and just see what you think of it. And until next week, I think it's going to be on your channel, is it, Paul?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what we're doing next week, but yeah, it might well be. Yeah. Right.
Well, I'm sure we'll put some up on Instagram anyway. So head over to Instagram or check out the YouTube. And yeah, until next week, guys. Thanks for joining.
Weekend,
and we'll have a great weekend, and we'll see you next